State Representative Meredith Craig. Welcome back to Message from the House.
Thank you for having me.
How
on this dreary day, I may add.
I know. I wanted to ask, how's the holiday season been? How's your winter going so far?
Yeah, it's been great. It was a good 2 weeks. Spent a lot of time with family, which was much needed. My nieces got a golden retriever puppy for Christmas, so that has been the excitement in our family.
Oh, wow.
Even though my sister has 4 kids, apparently a puppy, it's a lot. So it's
Do we
been
have a
fun.
name?
Otis.
Otis. Well,
good.
that's a cute name.
So it was a great holiday season. Yeah.
And it's nice because you get to go see Otis and play with him and maybe watch him, but then you get to give him back.
Correct. Yeah, I can sleep at night.
I know. Wow. Well, she's a glutton for punishment, it sounds
That's
like.
right.
I want to talk a little bit about your background. You were born and raised in Wayne County, and that is the district that you currently represent in the Ohio House. Kind of talk me through how that full circle has been.
Yeah, it's sort of surreal when I think about it, and certainly when I, run into folks that I've known my whole life in public, or even now as I'm out and about in public and folks know me, but I don't know them. That's also very surreal but humbling, right? You always have to be mindful of that. But I love Wayne County. It's my home. It always has been. It's special for me to be able to serve the community that I grew up in. And both my parents are not from Wayne County, which is the irony of all this.
Wow, yeah.
My mom grew up in Nebraska. My dad grew up in West Virginia. I'm the youngest of 3. And when they had me, they were in Worcester at the time. And this is just where we've stayed. So, again, it's very surreal, very humbling. I don't take it lightly by any means. And it's just great to be able to serve and work for folks that I know. I mean, a lot of the things that I work on, I'm working on with people that I know for a long time or that I've just grown to know, but they know people that I know, right? Because Wayne County is very small.
Yeah.
Even though it's 120,000 people, when you get down to it, everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love the small town vibe for sure. I want to, talk about your choice to go into public service, right? It's not an easy job. Do you remember what the first, inspiration early on was for choosing this?
So, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's been a culmination of a lot of things. I grew up in 2 loving parents, grew up in a Christian household where we went to church every week. I was saved at a very young age, and so just giving back has always been something we've done, and it's been instilled in us from a very young age. I thought I was going to be a nurse. I started out studying nursing because I'm an athlete and I had a lot of sports injuries, and I was always a doctor. So I thought, well, I'll go into the medical field, sure. Had always had a passion for history. In college, I ended up taking my gen ed course of political science and history with a professor who's now the president of Malone, Dr. Miller, and it just totally switched gears. Like I was like, I'm in the wrong area. I need to focus elsewhere. Still didn't know what I wanted to do, mind you, but I knew I wanted to study in this area and see where it led. And I did a mission trip to Haiti during that time. It was towards my end of my college career, and just seeing a third world country, seeing what little they have, and knowing how much we have here in the States, again, just reinforced with me how fortunate we are here and how we need to be better stewards. And that kind of pushed me more in the direction of what can I do. Now, I was studying more foreign policy in college, so I thought maybe I would get more involved in foreign affairs, and then go figure I end up working in state government. So, but it's been good.
What sport did you play?
Softball and basketball.
Softball and basketball at Malone.
No.
Okay.
Throughout high school, and then too competitive in slow pitch softball in adulthood. So.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I only asked because I went to Findlay and they're in the same conference.
Yeah.
So Malone and Findlay, yep. I've been there.
Yeah.
Handful of times. Very nice. And so, we were talking about your career before this, right? So kind of tell me a little bit about those experiences and how they led to the House.
Yeah. So, like I said, I thought I was maybe going to go into the foreign affairs side of things, but one of my college professors told me about the Legislative Service Commission Fellowship, which is a program that is offered every year down here in Columbus. It's a paid, it's a paid internship. So you have the opportunity to come down to Columbus. You get paid to work either in the Senate or the House. And very grateful, very fortunate that I was accepted into that. And that's when I started working in the Ohio Senate. So at the time, I had gotten to know Ron Amstutz really well, who was serving in this role as state rep. And he's been a good mentor ever since I reached out to him that day. And he wanted me assigned in the House. I will say I'm very grateful I was assigned in the Senate to give me that exposure, that experience. Because then after I worked and finished in that fellowship, I had the opportunity to go work for Ron when he served his last 2 years in the House. So having both Senate and House experience certainly has helped me be able to navigate this role I'm in now. And really, it's both chambers operate very differently. And I think if you ask anyone that who's been around Cap Square, like they'll tell you the same thing. And you've got to be able to push through and maneuver accordingly, and so that's been helpful.
That's amazing. I didn't know that you also worked in the House too.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. And then have a little bit of executive experience too, the executive branch.
I do. So obviously with term limits here in the state, Ron was term limited, and I had the opportunity to go work at the Ohio Department of Insurance. So they approached me, had an opening as legislative liaison. And it was, the director at the time was Mary Taylor. It was under the Kasich administration. And I just lost track of time over there. I ended up serving almost 6.5 years there. I was a holdover from Kasich to DeWine. All around a great experience. Knew nothing about insurance before starting there. And now, go figure, that's the policy area that I dive into most in this role.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, more than a half a dozen of your bills have already been passed by the House, which is very exciting, especially your first year in the legislature as a freshman. Talk me through some of them and why they were important and priorities for you.
Yeah, and it's, I came into this knowing I wanted to focus. I didn't want to introduce too much legislation. When I introduce a bill, I have every intention of getting it done. I don't like introducing a bill just to introduce it. So, out of the 11 I've introduced, 6 have thankfully gotten through the House over to the Senate, and quite a few of them unanimously, which I'm very proud of. And I've made it a point that if I can have a bipartisan bill, I do, because if it makes sense, it makes sense for everyone. And so being able to focus in on issues like access to healthcare, like it's an issue everyone cares about. It's an issue everyone wants to work to tackle. One of the bills that I have that I'm trying to get the Senate to move here pretty quickly on, just given the dynamic federally, is trying to provide a non-refundable tax credit to our small businesses who offer what we call an ICRA. It's pretty much a health savings account for their employee to go buy an individual plan instead of that business having to buy a very expensive traditional insurance plan, to try and simplify these terms as much as I can. But health insurance continues to be an issue. We're hearing that federally. We're talking about enhanced subsidies maybe going away. What can we do differently? And so as a state, it's important for me to try and tackle those issues here, just given that's my background. I know enough about it to be dangerous. And so trying to make sure we're doing all we can as a state to empower our businesses, our constituents, to make sure they have access to healthcare. A couple other issues is no surprise. I mean, I'm very pro-business. It's my background. It's just how I grew up as well. I mean, I want less government, less red tape, less government intrusion into private business. And so trying to make sure that we're doing all we can to have a strong legal climate here to attract business and make it more affordable for everyday Ohioans. So that's most of the themes that you'll see out of me. But then the exciting part is working with constituents when they have issues. So a couple of the bills specifically came from constituents. House Bill 132, which we're naming after Philip Weigel, was tragically struck and killed when he was serving as a fire lieutenant at a crash scene off 71. His parents approached me even before I got sworn in, and they had worked with my predecessor on language to try and strengthen Ohio's move-over law. And it's just been a wonderful experience working with Mike and Kathy on this bill. They've been great advocates for their son, for every first responder and emergency roadside worker we have. And I'm very excited to hopefully get that done in the Senate here. But again, something that came from constituents, obviously care deeply about it. My husband's a deputy sheriff. It's one of my biggest concerns for him whenever he's out on the road. He also works night shift, so it's also one of those where it's dark out, and so you couple that with distractions, and it's a concern. So the other bill, House Bill 476, who would have thought I'd get involved in online raffling? I did not. That is the fun part of this job, is you never know what you're going to get thrown into. But I started receiving phone calls from a local police chief, a volunteer with the Wayne County Dog Shelter, and they're like, what is going on? What is happening? Cease and desist letters are going out. We're simply using a method of fundraising. We have done this for years. Something's got to give. Something's got to change if this is going to keep going down this path. So, and then go figure, my Habitat for Humanity, which I'm recently become a board member, they were like, oh yeah, we sold online raffle tickets for a Jeep this past summer. Apparently we couldn't do that. So fast forward, we jump into all this. We find out that according to state statute, you cannot sell tickets for a raffle online.
Wow.
And so several cease and desist letters went out to a couple local fire departments, and I was like, well, it's time to roll up my sleeves and try and figure out what to do here. I thought it was maybe going to be a simple fix. Things are never simple.
I know.
I have a great partner in Representative David Thomas on that bill, and it's another one we were thankfully able to expedite, get it out of the House quickly. We have an emergency clause in it.
Oh, good.
And we're hopeful the Senate will take that up in short order.
Speaking of Representative Thomas, obviously property tax reform has just been at the top of mind for this legislature, and obviously all Ohioans and really people across the country. Why was that such an important fight for you all to take on?
Yeah, it is without a doubt number one issue I've heard about. Even before I took office and since, number one issue we hear is the rising cost of property tax and the burden it's placing on our residents. And, it's not to say that those services aren't needed. I don't think that's what anyone is trying to say. I think it's just really, really hard right now paying bills that have gone up hundreds, thousands of dollars in a matter of just a year's time. And it's been an issue. It was important for me to be able to work as quickly as I can to address it. I am very grateful for colleagues like Rep. David Thomas, who has background in it, was able to come in with great knowledge and be able to tackle that issue.
Yeah, I think it was more than $2.4 billion. What are your priorities for this year? I know that that's kind of a broad question, but...
Yeah, again, it is not easy getting a bill through the House to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I do take great pride in the 6 bills we have over in the Senate. I'm going to probably hyper-focus on getting those six bills done, because if you don't know, it all starts over if we don't get things done this next year. And so trying to get some of these priority things done out of the way, so that don't have to start the whole process over starting next year. So working with our senators, I've got a great relationship with Senator Al Landis, who is my senator. I've been communicating with him on a couple of these things so that he can lead the charge over in the Senate, and I hope to see some of these things done.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting couple months. I know you're probably excited to... I don't know. I'll ask you. Do you like being in your district working, or do you like traveling the couple days to Columbus each week? How do you balance it?
Yeah, it is a balance.
Yeah.
The reality is you got to come to Columbus to get all this stuff done, and so it's exciting when we're down here and we're working at a fast pace. But I'm very much always ready to get back home. Yeah. So I'm glad it's a good mix. I'm glad for a little bit of time here to be back home, to do meetings. And, it's a blessing to kind of have the best of both worlds there.
Yeah.
So you get crazy busy in Columbus, but
Yep.
then also time back home to get stuff done.
Yes. Well, Representative Meredith Craig, thank you
Yeah.
for coming on. I want to talk about our social media. You can follow us on the Ohio House GOP Caucus on Facebook, Ohio House_GOP on Instagram, and OHR GOP Caucus on Twitter. You can subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you.